the draft Merchant Shipping General Lighthouse Authorities Increase of Borrowing Limit Order 2026.
Minister to move the motion.
Thank you, Sir Desmond, and good morning. I beg to move that the committee has considered the draft Merchant Shipping General Lighthouse Authorities Increase of Borrowing Limit Order 2026. The order before us today will assist in the replacement of the ageing and increasingly obsolete vessels belonging to the General Lighthouse Authorities, better known as the GLAs, by increasing the amount of borrowing they can access under the Merchant Shipping Act 1995. It is the second of an anticipated series of 10 similar orders. As arm's-length bodies of the Department for Transport, the GLAs perform a vital role in meeting the UK's obligations under the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea. The UK has some of the busiest and most dangerous waters in the world, and the potential for calamity is clear. Given over 85% by volume of UK imports and exports are transported by sea, the importance of the work of the GLAs cannot be overestimated. The GLAs have been doing this work for hundreds of years and are world-class experts. However, expertise is not enough. It is equally vital that they have modern, efficient equipment to support them. Now, the GLAs work their vessels extremely hard. Their average economic service life is 25 years. Replacement on these timescales is therefore business as usual. I'm delighted to note that the first of a new generation of GLA vessels, the Northern Lighthouse Board's Polestar, was delivered on Christmas Day 2025. This represents a sea change over her predecessor and is a significantly more capable, greener and more comfortable ship. It is a tangible demonstration of the government's continuing investment in the GLAs to ensure they continue to have the right tools to deliver their vital statutory duties. The cost of new vessels is what brings me on to the business before the committee today. The GLAs are funded by light dues, a hypothecated tax paid by commercial and other shipping interests. They are not paid for by general taxation and make no call on the UK Exchequer to meet their day-to-day operational costs. The Merchant Shipping Act 1995 recognised that GLAs would occasionally need additional borrowing to afford large capital purchases. However, it has also set a cumulative limit of £100 million on the amount that all three GLAs could borrow. That figure was first included in legislation in 1988. It was not changed until the first of these orders, approved by Parliament in 2024, increased the limit to £133 million. It did not recognise inflationary or other pressures, nor did it recognise changes in international financial reporting, which resulted in other costs, such as fixed price elements of contracts being treated as borrowing in accounting terms. This figure also included all borrowing regardless of source, commercial or government. In real terms, £100 million in 1988 is equivalent to £197 million today. The GLAs were able to keep comfortably within the original £100 million limit until the need to purchase new vessels meant that this is now insufficient to meet forecast borrowing requirements. However, the Merchant Shipping Act 1995 places restrictions on how and when the power to increase the limit can be used. Firstly, increasing the limit requires advance approval from His Majesty's Treasury. My colleagues accepted our case and have provided that approval. Secondly, the limit can only be increased by order, hence the SI before us for consideration today. Thirdly, the limit can only be increased by a maximum of £33 million at a time, i.e. within a single order as advised by the Select Committee on Statutory Instruments. Given these legal constraints, we need to increase the limit by the maximum of £33 million once again. Additional orders will be required for further increases in future to ensure the limit aligns with forecast GLA borrowing. We will submit these orders for parliamentary approval in due course. I must stress that increasing the borrowing limit does not represent a commitment to new funding. Every vessel replacement project will remain subject to the highest levels of scrutiny under the Department for Transport, Cabinet Office and His Majesty's Treasury spend controls and approvals. However, these orders are a vital prerequisite to enable the GLAs to fund new vessels through borrowing when they need them. I therefore commend this order to the committee.
The question is that this committee has considered the draft Merchant Shipping General Lighthouse Authorities Increase of Borrowing Limit Order 2026. Greg Smith.
Thank you, Sir Desmond. Always a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. Now, I'm generally cautious about borrowing beyond our means. However, like any organisation, there are sometimes significant costs that are imposed which require capital spending. The General Lighthouse Authorities have been looking after our seafarers for hundreds of years and do critical work to safeguard their safety and welfare. Even though they may no longer have quite the same number of almshouses or responsibilities for mariners, widows and children, they still have an enormous role in maintaining the operational network of aids to navigation around the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland. It is a tremendous legacy of British maritime history And given the importance of the maritime sector, it is right that the GLAs have the resources to create safe passage for vessels. In this case, I am aware that the issue in question relates to a programme of vessel replacements, as the Minister has outlined, needed due to many of these reaching the end of their service life. Having working vessels is, of course, an expense that is necessary if the GLAs are to operate effectively. However, can the Minister provide assurances that the types of vessels that will be procured will be cost-effective and without onerous procurement criteria that could increase the costs? I understand that there is no direct provision for UK government funding, but that the Department for Transport covers the financial risk if the GLAs were to default on their borrowing repayments. As the former Maritime Minister said in last year's debate on this, and I quote, "It does not expose the Treasury or the Department because these are effectively loans to be paid back." While I'm sure the Minister is confident in the GLA's ability to manage their finances, in increasing the borrowing limits across 10 statutory instruments, has any assessment been made of the financial security of the organisation? For instance, I understand that the minimum Greater Lighthouse Fund cash reserves are set at £20 million to cover costs. While the current level is greater than that sum, will the Department need to make any alterations? Following this, I would ask the Minister whether the Department has engaged with the lighthouse authorities to ascertain their confidence in paying these borrowing costs back, and whether any assessment has been made of the potential long-term impact on light dues. Avoiding increases in costs for business is critical, therefore I am sure we would want to avoid a greater financial burden on vessels. The general lighthouse authorities have centuries of history illustrating, some might say illuminating, their effectiveness in upholding the safety of mariners. It is essential that the government act as stewards of this history and ensure that they remain operationally and financially viable.
Step back.
Thank you, Sir Devlin. I was just speaking only very briefly in this debate. Firstly, to signify that the Liberal Democrats support the motion before us today. Secondly, to note that this increase widens the availability of funding options for Cromer Lighthouse in my constituency, which has been keeping seafarers safe off the North Norfolk coast for nearly 200 years. Though it is no longer staffed and instead operated remotely from the control centre in Essex, it still plays its part in a network of dozens of lighthouses and light ships which keep the seas safe, and who we're supporting with this change today. Many of those working on these dangerous maritime jobs live in the coastal communities that they launch from. So the safety of these lighthouses are providing also brings reassurance to loved ones back on land in North Norfolk and coastal communities across the country. However, I do also have in North Norfolk the only lighthouse in Great Britain which will not benefit from the motion today. Haysborough Lighthouse is Britain's only independent lighthouse after Trinity House sought to close in the 1980s. The local community banded together and saved Haysborough as a working light. Indeed, this Parliament passed the Haysborough Lighthouse Act in 1990 to allow it to do so. It continues to guide ships off our coast, funded by voluntary contributions, and painted with striking red and white stripes. It welcomes locals and tourists alike when travelling towards our beautiful coast. I wonder if the Minister might join me in thanking the excellent team who keep Haysborough Lighthouse running, and agree with me that we hope to see the light which has shone since 1791 shining for many decades to come.
Thank you, Sir Desmond. Well, may I start where the Honourable Gentleman from the Liberal Democrats left off and wish everybody involved in the maintenance and continued use of Haysborough Lighthouse my sincere congratulations that it is going strong, and I hope that it continues to do so long into the future. On the points that the Shadow Minister raised, I've met all of the GLAs. I remain very confident in their capacity to manage this financial programme and also to make sure that borrowing, when it is undertaken, is done so in a financially responsible way, that they do have the capacity to pay back in good time, and that is due to the closeness and the thoroughness with which Department for Transport officials work with them on this project. They've already brought one of these vessels to fruition in a way that was cost effective through a procurement process that I think they feel worked well to serve their interests and provide the vessel within a good time frame. So in terms of the financial security of the GLAs, I don't have concerns on that point, but if I do, I'll be sure to inform him. I also want to thank the Shadow Minister for his general support for these provisions. We are an island nation, but I don't think we appreciate just how important shipping is to our economy and how important it is, therefore, to keep those seafarers safe. I hope the Chair will indulge me momentarily for just taking a moment on behalf of the committee to thank all seafarers and the staff of the GLAs who go above and beyond to ensure that our vital marine aids to navigation remain operational. Along with the MCA and the Marine Accident Investigation Branch, the GLAs are recognised around the world for their world-class standards and expertise. This order and the others to come will support the purchase of vital new modern vessels and other equipment that they need to deliver their statutory duties and enable them to continue working as they successfully have for hundreds of years to ensure the safety of all mariners in UK waters. I therefore commend the motion to the committee.
The question is that the committee has considered the draft Merchant Shipping General Lighthouse Authorities Increase Borrowing Limits Order 2026. As many as are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order